let the coaches take over, and that was a big thing for helping me because he realized what he could and couldn't do, and that's allowed me to be able to lean on my other coaches to help me with that.
So one of the exciting things we've learned researching you is that you're committed to go to Bucknell. So how important is it to have, a commitment to a great Division I school, while you're explore your opportunities?
Yeah, that's a school that I didn't really know anything about, and then we had a team camp on our schedule this summer, and I went up there and I played really well at the camp, and I fell in love with the campus when I saw it. And it was a school. As soon as I was there, I was like, "This is where I want to be." It's very similar to my hometown. It's kind of like in the middle of nowhere. And that's what I really like about it. And it has great academics, great baseball. It just has everything I wanted.
That's really cool. So, playing baseball in the Northeast, right? How difficult is it compared to your peers that get to play in warm weather all year?
It'd be awesome to play in the Southeast, but you just got to work with what you have. I like being in the Northeast because I think it forces you to lean on like resources that you have to find on your own. You don't just get to go outside and have a catch in the middle of winter. You have to find somewhere to do it, and that makes you like a grittier player, I think, and allows you to be mentally tough. So I think the Northeast breeds mentally tough players rather than what you might find somewhere else.
So we spoke before about you playing other sports. So how did playing the other sports help you become a better baseball player?
I played football mainly. That was my second sport. I didn't really play basketball when I played until I was like sixth grade, but football I played all the way through freshman year, and then I thought I was going to specialize on baseball, and I think that just allowed me to be more athletic. It didn't like lock me in one sport, and it allows me to be an athlete. And still in like my free time now, like I play rec basketball just for fun. I play like in a pickup football league, which is just like another fun thing to like keep me athletic, having fun, and doing other things than just baseball. So it's not like a job.
That's awesome. Now, I know we have some footage we acquired. John, can you share the video of Michael's at bats? So while John's waiting to share that,
Yeah.
you know, what happened, John?
Yeah. Go on. Go on.
Okay. So, who have you watched play the game that you kind of look up to and emulate?
This year mainly, I've been watching Aaron Judge a lot, and I know that's a basic name to say. He just hit number 62 15 years
Yep.
ago. But I've been watching him, and I've always had like a quick swing, but I'd always be a little too jumpy, and it would force me to like kind of only produce power. And I've watched him this year, and I've watched how calm his load is and how simple it is, and then it's very explosive out of that. So that's something I've tried to emulate this year, and just not being too jumpy and slowing everything down and playing the game at a slower pace, which allows me to do more explosive things.
Awesome. Now, he just hit 62 tonight, so that was a pretty special thing. Do you look at that 62 as an important number, or do you think Barry Bonds is the important number?
I still think Barry Bonds he is the home run leader, because he might have been on steroids. He was on steroids, but he wasn't. The steroids didn't hit the ball for him, so you still have to hit 73 home runs. And he still ran into the problems Judge is running into with pitchers not wanting to pitch to him. So I think it's still his record. And I don't think that's anything to discredit Judge for. Judge still has the clean record, but for it, just the overall home run record, it's Barry Bonds.
So you play center field, right? When you're in center field, what is it that you do in the outfield that kind of takes leadership and puts the outfield kind of in check?
I like to stay loose with my outfielders. I'll just in between pitches, I'll just talk to them. I'll see what they're thinking about the at bat. Sometimes it's random stuff, but I'll look at the guy's swing. I'll see if he looks late. I'll see in his swing mechanics what it looks like he might do. If I see him pulling his front shoulder, I might tell my left fielder. If he's a righty and he's pulling his front shoulder, I might tell my left fielder, hey, he might hit a top spinner over to you. So be ready to get down the line on something. Or if I see him staying in, I might tell my right fielder, look, he's probably going to come right center. He's got a pretty tight swing. So I just kind of like look at the swing, see that. I see his timing, base stuff off of that, and then based off past at bats, what I think they might do.
So, I mean, the biggest thing in baseball right now is analytics. And as far as the video, now, how much video work are you guys doing in high school?
Not much. I mean, we have access to a video vault of all like pretty much every MLB hitter and their swings, but that's really the only video work we do. I like video personally for myself because the thing I'll do is I'll get long in my swing, and if I'm watching video, I can see when my swing feels starts to get long, and I can see when I'm tight. So I like that. I like being able to watch my video just to make my own judgments on what I'm doing in game.
So now going forward, what are some of the things that you say are the best part of your games, and what are the like one area of your opportunity you think that you can improve on the most?
I think this year I really focused on not trying to be just a power hitter, and I try to switch into a speed contact role too. And I think it worked really well for me this summer as I really dropped down my strikeout rate, which was something I had concerns about. So I changed my two-strike approach, just trying to put the ball in play because I'm fast enough to where if I put a ball in play, it's still going to be a close play at first, no matter what. So it increased my hits, increased me getting on base, and it allows me to steal bases and help the team more.
So looking at baseball today, I mean, the stolen base is almost non-existent. Do you think that that's something that you could bring to a team and, possibly bring it back to the game and make it, important?
I mean, absolutely. It's something that I love. It's free bases, and not many people hold on very well anymore. So I mean, at our high school, we've developed or not developed, but we have a way that we like to go that we can steal bases easier, and it allows us to get to the next base easier. And it's less traditional than the original way. And we call it the new school lead. It's just a shorter lead with a shuffle when you think the guy's going to pick up his foot, and it allows you to get a moving start. And that's what I like to do that with guys who are quick to the plate. So it allows me, it's pretty much a free stolen base every single time.
Really? That's interesting. And do you know how that method came about? I mean, was it your coach, one of the players?
Our coach told us about it when I think he figured it out when we were fresh. I might have been a freshman. I might have been a sophomore. I don't remember exactly, but he got it from Wright State's base running coach. And
Wow.
that's what they do there. And he spoke at a coaching convention about it. And that's a way that they like to steal bases. I think they led the state. Not led the state. They led the country in stolen bases a few years in a row. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure they were up there.
That's really cool. I mean, to me, I love stolen bases. I think that's a lost art. When you could put pressure on the defense in baseball, it changes things up. It makes the hitters a little bit better. You see better pitchers. Guys get tense, and they may, eat the ball a little bit, grip it a little bit harder. The throws go a little bit wide. It just gives you a better chance, right, John?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that always puts pressure on. I mean, if you watched 42 and Jackie Robinson would do that to the pitchers, I mean, that would just mess with them. And once you get in the pitcher's head, I mean, you got him. So yeah, I completely agree.
So, right now, with it being fall, we think of baseball as traditionally in high school and college as a spring game. What are you guys doing? I know you said you were going down to Florida, but like, what type of actual game work are you guys doing?
I had my summer team that I played with in the fall too. Our season ended a couple weeks ago, I think. And then I'm going down to Florida this week with that Red Sox team. And then after that, I'm coming back, and that's my last tournament of the fall. That'll be my last travel tournament of my life. So I'm not going to play anything after that. I'm going to shut down. I'm going to go into the weight room. I'm just going to try and put on a bunch of weight, get big, strong, fast, athletic, everything that I need to succeed. And I'm just not going to really touch anything baseball related for a couple months because that's what I've done the past couple of years, and it's worked out for me really well. So that's what I like doing.
Now, I mean, one of the great things, and I've learned this from talking to um, different people, is how important it is to keep your grades up. When you're an athlete, that you have the commitment to Bucknell, which is a great school, but it gives you more options. So, how are you doing at school, and what's your keys to success to managing both going to school and also, succeeding in the field?
So the school I go to, they give us a lot of freedom, and that's kind of on purpose to allow you to make the decisions and it's kind of like a college lifestyle. So I mean, at least for me, I wake up at 6. I leave for school at 7:15. I get to school for at 8, and then I'm there until 3. And then I come home. I go to the gym. I come back home, and I do homework. And then after that, I go to bed. So it's like that pretty much. It's a strict routine that I follow every single day, and it allows me to succeed all around. And I mean, we have our free periods. Those are like designed in your schedule for you to just be able to do work, and I take advantage of those. I try and get my work done during those, and it's worked for me really well.
Jay, you had a
You
question?
know, yeah, I did. So you talk about having, being disciplined, and it's really great that you have acquired that skill, at a young age. So you really like being in the gym and getting in shape and getting big and everything. So I was curious to know what your training regimen consisted of, and also if you have a diet that you kind of follow as well.
Yeah. So right now I'm 4 days a week in the weight room, and so I have it's like 4 full body workouts right now, kind of because I'm still in season, so I'm not really ready to specialize yet. And then once the winter comes, it'll be more like upper lower upper lower. And that's the training regimen I follow. I usually go Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday I'm off. I give myself that big rest period because that's what works for me. That's what I like. Some people need the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday, but that's not what I like. Um, and then diet. I mean, I try to stay healthy, but it's difficult when you're in school. Um, so in the morning I have the same thing every single morning. I just have a protein shake and waffles, and then I go to school, and then I just have whatever our school lunch is. But our school lunch is pretty. I mean, compared to other schools, we don't like they feed us pretty well. So it's usually like chicken, some vegetable, like a pretty good carb, like a baked potato or like pasta or something like that, rice. So that's typically what I have for lunch, and then I'll come home. I'll grab something quick like an apple, banana, before I go to the gym, and then I'll come home and I'll have dinner, whatever my mom makes for that night, which
Good
is
thing you
typically.
didn't see what they fed us in school. Ooh, man, complete
Yeah,
opposite.
no, we eat pretty good at my high school, so there's no complaints there.
We used to eat like slop. Yeah,
Yeah,
my
Yeah, we
teachers
had
used
it.
to
Now,
like
whenever
horse.
schools, I'm sorry, go ahead, Johnny.
I said like that like grade F horse meat or whatever it was. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't want
Now,
to know. We don't want to know.
when school's not in session and you got those 3 months, summer vacay, what's your diet like?
Summer I try. So my problem with summer is I'll have my first meal a little too late because I'll sleep in more. So I still try and stay around the same ideas, like that kind of 3 meals, 3 pretty heavy meals, all pretty healthy. I try to stay away from like really high sugar stuff, but sometimes I mean you're just a kid, so you have something, but I try and stay away from it.
That's awesome. All right, so now, I mean, we're to make it a little bit easier for you. We got a really good interview with you. I enjoyed it. We're going to talk some other sports right now, give you a couple of minutes to relax and just have fun, talk some sports. So I'm going to give you my last week's Twitter question to start. Softball pitch for a baseball player. Who's the greatest home run hitter of all time to you?
Probably Barry Bonds. I mean, has the record and everything. Most home runs, most in a season. I'm pro Barry Bonds. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. So that's a guy I really like. I don't know because they weren't testing, so you can't get mad at them for doing something that really wasn't really illegal at the time. So he did what he needed to do to win, and he did. So I think he's the home run king.
I'm definitely with you. What about you, Jay? Because we didn't get your opinion last week. Jay?
Here I am. Okay, had to unmute. As far as the home run king, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Bonds. I'm with
So we
with
got
him
three
over
out of
here.
4. So we got 3 out of 4 of the panel that say Bonds. John, your answers
How
are
can you
relevant now.
bypass the Babe, man? Like Babe
'Cause we never
Ruth,
saw her
the
play.
greatest hitter ever, the greatest home run hitter ever, and he did it on hot dogs and beer. Like, come on.
Because we never saw him play. And pitchers now are a lot better than pitchers back in the day.
Yeah, but they
So,
also
I
had
mean, there's arguments
500-foot
to this.
fences back then. They don't have 315-foot fences. They don't have Yankees
That's
sitting
the
right
gr-
porch, right field
That's
porch.
the great thing about
Like, come
trying to
on.
compare baseball
Get outta
between
here.
different eras. The game is so different. We can argue about this all day, and no one's going to be right. It's just an opinion. What do you think about that, Michael? About the difference between baseball, just different eras? I mean, even with you growing up, you've seen Bonds, who was a freak of nature that hit home runs, and now you see the guys now. It's different, more strikeouts. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think you can make the comparisons. I mean, nobody back in Babe Ruth's day, nobody's throwing 95-mile-an-hour sliders like they're throwing right now. And I don't think you can blame Babe Ruth for that, though. It's not his fault. He was playing in his competition, and he didn't have the training that these guys have now. So I don't think it's fair to either side to make the argument that either could play in the eras that they played in other eras, because they were the best of their times, and there's really no argument to be made there.
And he only
All
had
right,
to
and
hit
this
it
week-
500 feet to dead center to hit a home run.
Exactly.
Anyway, this week's question on Twitter was going crazy for the last 2 days. The most hated sports team of all time. So obviously, right off the bat, before we start, the Yankees, Cowboys, Patriots, Lakers, Celtics, or Red Sox all were answered multiple times.
Right.
But
of
what's your
course.
most hated? What's your most hated sports team of all time? We'll start with Michael.
Probably the Eagles.
Oh,
I hate the Eagles.
That's a great start. I'm liking this kid even more.
I hate the Eagles. I mean, it's more based on the people I'm around. They're all Eagles fans, so all I ever hear is how good the Eagles are, and it just gets annoying over time. Like, I don't really hate. I mean, I'm a Yankees fan, but I don't really hate the Red Sox because I'm not around Red Sox fans, so I don't hear the constant. The Red Sox are better than the Yankees, so it doesn't bother me as much. But all I ever hear is how good the Eagles are, and the Phillies suck. I mean, the Phillies, they made the playoffs, but they suck. So you never hear anything about how good they are. And you never hear anything about. I don't really care about this. I don't care about basketball, so the Sixers doesn't bother me.
To be fair,
What about
Michael
you, Jay?
wasn't born yet whenever the 04 comeback happened, the 3-0 deficit. So
yep.
he
Only in
really
history.
never got to see the true rivalry of Red
Yeah,
Sox,
no, the
Yankees.
Red Sox
Oh,
Yankees rivalry hasn't been that strong since I've been alive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll happen again. Both teams will have plenty of money to spend.
Baseball's
What about you,
much
Jay?
better when that's a thing.
Who's your most hated sports team, Jay?
I'm actually going to go against the grain because there's not inherently. I mean, yeah, I could say the Cowboys. I'm actually going to go college ball. I hate the Sooners. Being a Longhorns fan, I hate the Oklahoma Sooners. Texas A&M, they're right on their heels. But yeah, I hate OU.
That's a very good answer. I mean, I want to do a college one probably in a couple of weeks because I think college has totally different type of rivalries. But I can respect that opinion. I'm all with it. John, what about you?
Bama 100%. I hate Alabama so much. I hate them. I'm a Gators fan, and I just hate every single thing about Alabama. It's gross. Every time I think of them, I want to throw up. It's just everything about Bama just bleh. I mean, I'm a Dolphins fan, and Nick Saban left us in the dust as well. So, I hate Nick Saban like double what I hate Alabama itself.
You hate
that
Alabama
whole thing
more
is
than
just
the Yankees.
Gross. What?
John, you hate Alabama more than the Yankees?
Well, you said those were all taken. Those were all answered. So I wanted to give an answer that wasn't your prototypical answer. You know what I mean? Like,
I want
to give
I
something
just want your
different.
answer. I don't care.
No, I'm going to say Bama because I wanted to give something that's, not your typical answer. So
okay,
Bama,
I mean,
for sure, because I
think you failed me. I think you found me. As
Well,
a
you always
Giant
take
fan,
that.
so I got a lot of flack because I didn't put the Patriots up on the logo because everybody hates the Patriots. But we beat them twice in the Super Bowl, so and they don't really bother me. I mean, I don't like them, but I hate the Cowboys way more than them. And if I have to pick a team I hate the most, it's going to be the Cowboys. Even though I like some of their players now, as I've gotten old, I've softened up a little bit. I like Dak, I like Zeke, I like CD, but I still don't like the whole Cowboy uniform. I'm just not a fan. Not a fan at all.
In all fairness, it's not like Dak is like this terrible person or
No,
CeeDee
he's a good
Lamb or
guy.
anything like that. Yeah, I think for the most part, people they wish the best for Zach. What ruins it about the Dallas Cowboys is their fans and their owner. The players on the field got no problem with as
You
people
see, I
and even
love
as
Jerry.
players.
I love Jerry. As a Yankee fan, I relate to Jerry because I had Steinbrenner for all the years. You're young, you may not remember. So you're about my age, Jay. So you know Steinbrenner. The
Yeah,
guys
I remember
below, they don't
Steinbrenner.
really know him. Jerry is a reincarnation of Steinbrenner. The only difference is Jerry hasn't figured out he has to hire the right people, which Steinbrenner learned at the end.
Yeah.
You hire the right people, you'll win. Jerry thinks he can do it all, and that's not the way it's going to happen.
Right, and but sometimes it's his leadership, and those who have been in a leadership position, maybe not as high as him, but his mismanagement is what's so annoying. Also, it's like what? I hate the Cowboys, but I feel for y'all fans. This is exactly why I've said as long as he's at the top, they will never win. It's just like, and John, I know you know,
I hope he stays at
because
the top forever.
And John, being a fellow wrestling fan, how many times have you heard me say WWE will get better when Vince retires? Vince retired, product got better.
Oh,
Same with
Vince
the
didn't
Cowboys.
retire. He didn't retire.
He retired. He was kind of, yeah.
So keeping it with Jerry, right? So Michael, without Jerry Jones, there's no stadium in LA. You're a Rams fan. Your team wouldn't be there. So he's important to your franchise. But watching the game last night, and this kind of kills me. Does Matthew Stafford realize he has other guys on the field besides Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee?
Man.
We all watched the game last night, right?
Man.
We're all football fans.
This is
You
your
realize
moment,
that they
JB.
got targeted 27 out of 36 times, just a clip below 80%. I'm watching that game, and I'm saying to myself, when he got the pick six, I was waiting for that to happen because you can't target the same guys 80% of the time. Listen, you don't have to be a great defensive back. I could have went out there and picked it off because eventually you're going to jump around, and that's going to happen. Am I wrong?
I mean,
Wow,
yeah, a Rams fan watching that, it's a little tough. I mean, they don't really have like last year they had Robert Woods, who was a second weapon. They had Odell before he went down. He was a second weapon. They had other weapons. I don't think they have that this year. They're too top heavy.
Yeah, I think Stafford realizes he don't have a true number 2 right now. That's why he's going to Cup all day.
That good, to be honest.
You don't think Robinson's a decent number 2?
I don't think he's that good. I think he's a little washed. I think he's a little old.
Really? Wow.
Just
I thought he was great last year.
I don't think his attitude's there. I've watched him. He gets a little too frustrated. I mean, he rightfully can be. He's not really getting targeted, but I don't think him and Stafford clicked very well. Like at least like he did with Kupp. Him and Kupp were like automatic day one. Where
I mean, to be fair, what quarterback gets pressured 17 times in a game by a defense? Like that never ever happens. Like sacked 7 times, pressured 17.
Burrow.
Like
Daniel Jones on Monday night against the
Cowboys. Jones, Burrow.
Daniel Jones brings it on himself. Like
Carson Wentz against the Eagles.
Too long, and he has no idea how to go through a progression.
Carson Wentz against the Eagles got sacked 6 times in the first half.
No, I'm talking about 17 pressures. Like, that's insane.
I think Stafford.
Yeah, I get that.
I mean, Whitworth is gone now. He retired. Yep. So the Rams O-line's not the same. It was banged up. I don't think they had a couple guys last night. So the Rams their offensive line isn't there, and Stafford's getting more pressure than he's used to. So it's kind of tough for him to adjust.
I think they're missing OBJ. I'm not gonna say that would have won the game last night, but they're definitely missing OBJ.
Yeah,
And they did lose.
Odell was a big game changer. I mean, he even though he wasn't getting all the targets, he just made a difference in the game. Like he was someone that when you had him on the field, you couldn't just focus on Cup because
Right.
you had Odell, and Odell's a threat.
I just have to wonder if getting rid of Robert Woods, the glue, they almost called him like a glue guy, like the locker room guy. They absolutely loved him in LA, and for whatever reason they got rid of him. I feel like getting rid of Robert Woods really just messed with the culture there because they absolutely loved him as a person and a player, but they really loved him as a guy in that locker room. For whatever reason, they got rid of him. Like I feel like they did him dirty by getting rid of him when he was such a big piece of that team before he got hurt last year.
Yeah, I think you keep
Yeah.
Robert Woods. That allows him to be a possession guy, Cooper Cup to just beat Cooper Cup, and then Van Jefferson to be a deep threat,
Yep.
which is what they all are. So it kind of just allows that offense to work better. And they're missing that guy right there, Todd Gurley. But he's been gone for a couple of years. He was a freak. Just watching him play when he was healthy, he was ridiculous.
So, I mean, we're talking defense.
He was one of
last
my
night,
favorites when he was running.
pressured 17 times. We got a special guest coming to join us right now. So we got Rod Smith, who's going to join us in just a minute. One of the best defensive backs I've had the pleasure of seeing. John, tell us a little bit about Rod before we bring him in.
Yeah, I mean, Rod played for notably the Patriots and the Panthers. There's a lot going on with the Panthers right now. I'm not sure if Rod is following what's going on with the Panthers or not. We'll have to ask him when he comes in. There's a lot going on with the Patriots too. As we saw, they've had quite a bit of issues. Belichick's had quite a bit of issues. So I'm not sure how much Rod's been following these respective teams, but we'll ask him. He's, I'm sure, ready to come on in. So JB, whenever you're ready.
Hey, Rod, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing well, fellas. How are you today?
Doing well. Nice to have you.
Doing great. Glad to have you on the show tonight. So, getting the chance to, watch you play was a real treat. You were multiple-time Pro Bowler, defensive back. I mean, what was the key to your success?
It's funny. I have a chance to speak to high school teams often here in the Charlotte area, and one of the things that's consistent when I talk to the kids is about physical intensity. That you can't control luck. You can't control the way the ball bounces. A perfect pass beats perfect coverage. A perfect pass and a perfect catch will beat perfect coverage. So you could execute perfectly and still get crushed. But you can't control whether the coach plays you or doesn't play you. You can't control whether that receiver makes a one-handed catch over your shoulder or whatever. What you can control is your willingness to cause as much physical discomfort to everybody on the field as possible. You are in full control over your attitude toward putting your guy on his back every single snap, regardless of where the ball is run. And it's funny because now I'll get off this horse here for a second, but playing cornerback, you have to understand Jerry Rice is a much better football player than Rod Smith. However, that's when they're throwing the ball. However, they're going to run it 40 times today. And Jerry doesn't want any part of me trying to put him on his back. So no matter where the ball goes, if I can find a way to get my hands on him and get him on the ground and make it, he doesn't. I mean, he wants to end the game with his jersey clean and 3 touchdowns and 10 catches. That's what he wants. What I do is I got grass stains on his back. I got dirt in his eye. I mean, I'm making it a bloodbath. So when I talk to the high school kids and you talk about my success, I think if anything, it's my willingness to make the game dirty and grimy and physical and a disaster. And anybody that's not willing to get into those waters finds themselves drowning.
That's awesome. I love that attitude.
Yeah. I love the defensive aspect. I just love it.
So Michael's one of the top baseball players in the country, high school senior. So if you were giving him some advice on, just getting ready to go to college or turn pro, whatever he decides to do, what would be your one piece of advice for him to take from speaking to you tonight?
Here's what I'd say. Well, first of all, congratulations, Michael, on an amazing career already. I mean, like, somebody asked me earlier this week about, hey, are the Eagles for real? They're 4-0, and I go, like Bill Parcells said, you are what you are. You know what I mean? So to get to the point where you are athletically means you're a baller. Like it's not luck, not for this long. What I would say is this. And I tell long stories, but I'll tell you a quick story. Nick Saban only sees about 10 or 12 players a year personally that he goes and sees. Okay. And when he goes to see these 5 stars, he walks in, he asks the coach, hey coach, hey, listen, who are the, so he flies to California to see a kid. He goes to the coach. He goes to the stadium, asks the coach, hey, listen, who are the top 3 hardest working players on your team? If the coach doesn't name the player that he's going to see, he gets back on the plane. The difference between a good college player and a good pro is the pro works twice as hard. They're not bigger, they're not faster, they're not stronger, but they get 8 hours of sleep. They eat healthier. All right. They stay in the weight room 30 minutes longer. They get in 30 minutes earlier. They stay 30 minutes longer. It is simply the work ethic to put in a little bit more effort, not just on the weight side, but also on the conditioning and studying the game and understanding your position and reading books and reading the playbook. Like it's your dedication to doing the things in preparation for your sport, which will be the difference between being a pro and being a good college player, or being a good high school player and being a great college player. The difference is work. So like I'll say it like this, but succinctly. If I come to visit your team, I should ask you, coach, who's the hardest working player on the team? And they should say your name. If they don't say your name, you should ask the coach, hey, coach, who's the hardest working player on the team? He should say you are. If he doesn't say you are, then you've got some space to close. There's a gap to close. You know what I mean? So always strive to be literally outworking every other player on your team, whatever level you want. You should be the first guy in the batting practice, the last guy out, the first guy to catch balls, the last guy like you should make that a habit, and it'll serve you well over the course of your career.
Awesome. Now, quick question for you. Looking at the NFL today compared to when you play, because, I mean, you talked about getting Jerry Rice's jersey all grass dirty.
Oh, yeah, muddy. Grass on the back.
I mean, the game is not the same. You can't hit the way you could. Guys like you and Ronnie Lott, you guys used to hit. The game is different. How do you compare the players from today compared to when you played?
Well, I think there's my philosophy is that it's the same when I played versus the guys that played in the 80s. You know what I mean? Like when I played, I was a guy that would start the season at 192 and I'd end the season at 178 every year. I was just a high energy guy, practicing hard, being physical in practice, just going hard. I could not keep weight on. And what they told me was, eat 10,000 calories a day. We don't even care. Junk food, McDonald's, it doesn't even matter. You're burning it off so hard. Just get 10,000 calories a day and see if you can keep weight on. That's where we were. And we were doing like bench press and like power cleans and squats on our back, with no advanced recovery. I'm 52 years old now, and I take stem cells every 6 months. I get PRP every 3 months. You know what I mean? I go visit a float tank every week. An hour in the float tank is like 4 hours of REM sleep. So like you can sleep 8 hours, get in a float tank, and now you're actually operating like you had 12 hours of REM sleep. They didn't have any of that when I was playing, right? So the players now have the advantage of technology, of human advancement. So they're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. And I think as much as the league was enticed by having a more pass-centric game, which was more points, more excitement, better for the fans, they're also trying to protect the players because they're getting so big and so strong and so fast. You can't have them grinding each other the way we used to. You can't have safeties now that they're 6'3", 230, hitting receivers that are 6'4", 215. I mean, like, That's different than Ronnie Lott at 6'1", 205, hitting Ben Coates at 6'3", 230. It's different when they're 2 inches taller and 20 inches bigger. So the league, to protect the players and to make the game more exciting, has made it less physical in some ways, and a little more fun to watch. So I think it serves both purposes. More fun to watch, and then also it protects the guys from killing themselves. And why they're bigger and faster and stronger is just technology.
Yeah, so Rod, I wanted to ask you about what's going on in Carolina. I'm sure you pay attention to the NFL, you watch the games, I'm sure, correct?
Yeah. I was actually at the Arizona game this weekend, matter of fact.
Okay, so what's going on in Carolina? Like, this is such a talented team. They have so many young pieces that are so good, aside, at least in my opinion, from the quarterback position, but almost everywhere else is really good. Quarterback and head coach, in my opinion, aren't very good or good at all. So, like, what's going on in Carolina, and what's going to happen going forward? Like, are we going to see a change into the guard at quarterback and head coach? Like, I mean, I feel like the fans deserve better. We just got Sam Mills. The Panthers fans just got Sam Mills in the Hall of Fame. I was there in August. Like, they just got Sam Mills there. So much talent. And they continue to just be a disaster under Matt Rule. Like, can you talk a little bit about what's happening, what's going to happen going forward?
Yeah. Like you said, the Panthers have some good pieces. And I think defensively, collectively, they're good enough to be a playoff team. I believe that. If they, obviously you need some support from the offense. Has to be able to run the ball and hold it a little bit. You can't let teams like Arizona have the ball for 38 minutes. I mean, you're just not going to win a lot of games on defense if you're out there for 40 minutes. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter who it is. And I think that Baker is is probably around that, around that 15 to 20th range in terms of quarterbacks. He's a player and he's got talent, and he's a starter not anywhere in the league, but like he's a starter in the National Football League, for the next 5 or 6 years. He's not playing great. Let me back up. His statistics are not great so far in the year. However, the Carolina Panthers were 29th out of 32 teams last year on offensive line with running and protecting the passer. This year, I think they're 30th right now, and they're actually worse than they were last year. And if you don't have offensive linemen that can give your quarterback a chance to see the field, it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. It's funny. Bill Parcells told me something one time that really stood in my mind. He said, you know what, Rod? If you can get a quarterback to take one step off of his spot, their completion percentage goes from 83% to 46%. Think about that. If you can get a quarterback, if they drop back 5 steps, they plant their back foot in the ground, and they want to take a pump and then throw the ball from that spot. In fact, if we can get a pass rush to make him take one step one way or the other, takes them off balance so much that it reduces their accuracy 50%. One step. I watched the game. Baker Mayfield literally had to get outside the tackle box on 4 out of 5 of the first passing plays. 4 of the 5 first passing plays, he dropped back to a spot, put his foot in the ground, and somebody was in his face so fast he had to get outside the tackle box to find the room to throw the ball. And then people say, oh, you threw 3 interceptions. Of course he did. Tom Brady would throw 3 interceptions. Watch Tom. Tom's on his spot, right? Tom goes back. Watch Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers moves a little bit, but his first drop, Aaron Rodgers is straight back and puts his foot in the ground. Like because they know they're good from that spot. But if you make a quarterback have to start moving around, it's hard. Other than the guy in Kansas City, nobody's good on the run. I mean, there are levels, don't get me wrong, but nobody really wants to throw the ball on the run. Even Patrick. I mean, he does it. He'd rather be on his spot. So it's a long answer to a short question, but But the Panthers' problem is the offensive line is garbage. And until they get that fixed, it doesn't matter if you've got McCaffrey and Moore and these great receivers and a quarterback that can flat play and a coordinator that can get it and a head coach that understands offense as well as anybody. Like, you're just not going to produce and you're not going to win games until they get that offensive line fixed. And I fear that Matt Rule's probably going to get to the end of his rope before he gets a chance to get it fixed, and there'll be a new sheriff in town.
Jay?
Jay, you had a question?
Yeah, you're muted, Jay.
Can't hear you, Jay.
So I kind of wanted to take a trip. Oh, I'm right here. So I kind of wanted to. Am I muted? Can you hear me?
You good?
Go on.
Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you, bro.
Can you hear me?
Now it's muted again.
Okay, sweet. Okay, so fighting our squad. Not muted again? What?
I don't know. Jay's having
Am I
some
back?
technical difficulties.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we hear you, Jay. Go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to go back and revisit that 1990 Fighting Irish squad you played on. You played alongside guys like Jerome Bettis, Rocket Ismail, Rick Meyer, Dorsey Levins, but you had the experience of playing underneath one of the legendary coaches of Lou Holtz. What was that experience like?
Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, those were the best years of my life so far, and as challenging as they were, and I mean challenging to the point where I was faced with having to leave the game. That kind of challenging. That's a long story, but if we have more time. It's fantastic, but it's. I mean, I was on the precipice of leaving the game. I mean, it was nip and tuck. My dad had to tell me what I needed to focus on. Otherwise, I probably would have transferred to Stanford and left the thing. But glad I saw through it, and to be surrounded with all those studs was amazing. I mean, it's funny. I remember Jerome Bettis. The first team offense was doing goal line, and I'm on first team defense. So their number one offense is going against number two defense in goal line. Okay, so I'm standing behind the offense, watching them play against the number two defense. And Coach Holtz is standing there next to Jerome Bettis and says, "Hey, Jerome Bettis, there is no chance that your fat ass is ever going to see the field. Look at those guys over there." It was like Rocket Ismail, Ricky Waters, Tony Brooks, Anthony Johnson. I mean, all those guys played like 10 years. I mean, he's telling Jerome, listen, if you want to get on the field, you're going to have to play fullback here. Are you in? And he's like, yeah, I'll play fullback. And I really tell that quick story is because that year at fullback, Jerome was tough. Don't get me wrong. He was a beast when he arrived, right? But that year of playing, being at a school which forced a Hall of Fame running back to play fullback for an entire year, and this is the 90s, man. I mean, this is like ISO run plays every third play. I mean, he is one-on-one with linebackers. It is a brutal physical existence. I mean, it's not like fullback now in the flat catching passes. This is man-on-man blocking stud linebackers. I mean, at Michigan, Miami, Alabama, USC. I mean, hitting those guys like before the game starts, you're going to have 20 ISO blocks in the game, 20 one-on-one. I mean, okay, so a year of doing that, being in a space where he couldn't play tailback and he had to do that for a year, turned him into steel. He was tough when he got there, but after he got done blocking linebackers for a year, it was over. That dude he went from being tough to like off the planet. And now when you hand him the football and put him on the perimeter with the cornerback, you're not making that tackle. I mean, he was a handful when he got there, but after doing that, now if he goes anywhere else in the country, he plays right away. He plays tailback. and I don't think he gets as tough. I don't think he ever becomes the man he became, not for being forced to block linebackers. I mean, Demetrius DeBose, Michael Stoneberg, I mean studs. I mean, 10-year, having to block those guys for a full year, to me, is what took a guy that was going to be a really good player and turned him into one of the best all time. That turned him into steel. You couldn't do anything with him after that. Yeah, and and that's what happened to me. You know what I mean? I got there. I came in as a tailback. There's no way, I'm playing tailback at Notre Dame with, again, Ricky Waters, Anthony. I mean, those same guys,
No
right?
way.
Right? So what's little Rod Smith from Minnesota going to do? So it forced me to go to cornerback. So I go to cornerback, and I'm playing against Rocket Ishmael every day. I mean, really? You think you're going to get better? I'm practicing Rocket every day, one-on-ones, day after day. Like, wow. So it's funny. When I got to the pros, people were saying, "Hey, watch out for this guy, Michael Irvin. He's really fast." I was like, "Is he? Is he fast? Like fast?" I'm sorry. I've been covering Rocket Ishmael, who was like the 6th fastest person on the planet Earth in the 100-meter dash. He's number 6 in the universe right now. Yep. Michael Irvin's not that fast. I mean, it's funny. Everybody in the league, even my rookie year, I was like, he's not that fast. Like, that guy's so fast. But I was like, not fast to me. I mean, not Rocket Ishmael fast.
That's awesome.
No, he's not fast.
Awesome.
But fast is Rocket Ishmael. That guy's not fast. Okay, so
they call him the Rocket.
Listen, his name is the Rocket. Okay, if he had trained for the 100-meter dash, he'd have made the Olympic team. He'd have been on the United States Olympic 100-meter dash team. So wow. You cover that in practice every day, and you get to the pros, and you're like, oh, these guys are slow. I'm jamming guys up,
Yeah.
Michael, you have one last question for Rod?
Yeah. So I just want to ask you, Mr. Smith, when you got to college, what did you do mentally to allow yourself to be like, okay, I want to get drafted. What do I have to do? What did you do?
This may strike you as odd, but I'm going to tell a quick story. So my junior year, I went out the first game of the season, played against I was a preseason All-American, and gave up 3 touchdowns to Desmond Howard in the first 2 quarters. I think I made it out at halftime. Gave up 3 touchdowns. Second half, I gave up another touchdown. I gave up 4 touchdowns. Rod Smith, one guy, gave up 4 touchdowns to one guy in 2.5 quarters of football. I got yanked from the game and put on scout team. I went from being a preseason All-American, and 3 hours later, I was on scout team. And my dad came. My dad drove down. He came to the game, but then he drove to Minnesota. Then he drove all the way back. We went to lunch. This is the junior year story. I'm condensing it. And my dad said, "You have to understand something. Your career at the University of Notre Dame may be over. You may never wear that gold helmet again. It could be OVER right now. If you ever thought you had control over how much you play, you are wrong. That is a Coach Holtz decision. You have no control over that. However, here's the good news. You have control of some things. You have control over who is the most competitive, physical, best prepared, well-rested, well-fed football player, practice player in Notre Dame history. You have control of that. Coach Holtz has something to do with that. You have control whether you have a 4.0 or a 3.8. Your grade point average is up to you. You want to graduate with honors, be a Notre Dame graduate with honors for the rest of your life, that's up to you. Yeah, I got that 3.6 at the time. You have 3.6 or 3.8. That's up to you. Coach Holtz has nothing to do with that. So the things you can control, you need to completely focus on. And the things that you can't control, you need to let those go. So being an All-American, being a pro, getting drafted, those are all decisions that will be made by somebody else. The decisions that you can make, that we can make, are how early we get to practice, how hard we practice, who's the first guy in, who's the last guy out, our level of effort and commitment to the game, not just on the field, but getting rest, not drinking, eating good food, all the steps that we need to do to be a great player, regardless of the outcome. Complete focus on your process. That's how you become a pro. If you're trying to become a pro, it's impossible. But if you just take what can I do today to work? How can I maximize every hour of this day to become the best player I can be? I need 9 hours of sleep. I need to eat well. I'm not drinking with these idiot friends. I'm not chasing these girls around. I'm going to study. Like you plan your day and you operate every day in that circle, and you just put a brick. Every day you just put a brick. Every day you put a brick, and then you'll find yourself in the league.
Ron, I want to say it was a pleasure speaking to you. If you haven't thought about going into coaching with your messages, I think you would make a team phenomenal because, you would teach the intangibles. You would give them the discipline, and I think that's so important. But we loved having you. Where can people find you?
I'm at what is my thing? Rod Smith ND on at Instagram. I think is whatever the Instagram thing is. It's Rod Smith ND. And you can find me there and some of my videos and that kind of thing there.
Well, Ron, it was a pleasure. You're always welcome to come back. You have a great night and enjoy, man.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, give me a buzz back. I'd be happy to jump on again with you. Thanks for having me.
Definitely.
Thanks,
Thank you, Rod.
Have a great night.
Good luck, Mike.
Thank you.
Yep.
So Michael, we're about to wrap up just a couple of seconds. So where can people find you, Michael?
Do you like an Instagram handle or Twitter?
Wherever you're comfortable, give it. If you want people to follow you, that's up to you.
Yeah, my Instagram's mcheravallo, and my Twitter is michaelcherov_4.
Awesome. And then, if you're where are you going to be in Florida?
Jupiter.
Is that open to the public if people are down there?
I believe so.
Okay, so if you're down in Florida this weekend, get a chance to see Michael play in person. You're going to see possibly one of the next great Major League Baseball players in a few years. So, if you're in Florida, take a few minutes, go down there and watch him. But Jay, the not Jake Malik, but close, where can people find you?
Well, a little bit later on tonight, here in about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, Confidential. We got a pretty great episode. I'm producing that, so you can find me there. Also, Pundit's Pundit Wednesdays alongside Scott Morganrath and Jennifer and Jacob. And then also the Gauntlet on Saturdays. New Day, Friday. We just went back to Fridays. So same time, but Friday nights. And that's me, Dom, and James and JJ as well. So tune in.
John?
Bluehawks 13.
All right, guys. I'm JB_ the program on Twitter. This has been Sideline Sports. I want to thank Michael and Rod for joining us tonight. Make sure you're watching tonight's episode. Make sure you're watching 7 days a week Sideline Sports on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all over. Just type in Sideline Sports. Look for the logo. Look for this pretty face. Look at John's face.
Look at my ogre
You'll see
face.
Jay on a bunch of stuff, and you'll see Michael, I'm sure, back many times, a friend of the show. But have a great night, guys. It was a pleasure. We'll see you next week.